All right, let's dive right into something kind of wild. The world you see every single day. It's not what you think it is. It isn't a perfect recording of reality. No, it's more like a movie, a masterpiece produced and directed by your brain. So, you ready? Let's pull back the curtain and meet the director.
So let's just ask it straight up, get right to the point. Is the world you see real? Well, the easy answer is it's complicated. See, what you're perceiving, what you think is out there, isn't the raw, unfiltered truth at all. Here's a good way to think about it. Your brain isn't some passive camera, okay? It's not just recording everything that happens in front of it. It's way more active than that. It's like a film director, taking all this messy, raw footage from your senses and editing it, cutting it, and shaping it into a story that actually makes sense.
And that brings us to the first big idea of this explainer: your brain's reality filter. Now, the most important thing to get here is that this filter is not neutral, not even close. It has its own agenda, its own set of rules about what gets in, what gets ignored, and what gets the spotlight.
So what are these rules? We can call them the brain's preferences. Think of them as these deep, unconscious guidelines that are always running in the background. They filter everything, they weigh information, they even reshape the facts you think you're getting. And here's the kicker. They're not built for perfect objective accuracy. Nope. They're built for something much more practical, helping you survive, find meaning, and just feel like things make sense.
Okay, so what are these preferences? Exactly. Well, we can boil them down to four big ones. First, your brain loves harmony and efficiency. It prefers stuff that just fits neatly with what you already believe. It's kind of lazy like that. But, and this is a big but, its number one job is survival. That means it's always on the lookout for threats or new things. Then you've got emotional salience. You know how big emotional moments stick with you? That's this preference in action. And lastly, completion. Your brain absolutely hates loose ends. It's a storyteller, so it'll fill in any gaps to make a complete, coherent story.
Okay, so we've got these filters. Big deal, right? Well, yeah, it is a big deal because they literally shape your inner world. And we can see them working plain as day in two of the most personal things we experience, our memories and our dreams.
This one quote totally changes how we should think about memory. See, a memory isn't like a video playback. Not at all. Every single time you remember something, your brain rebuilds it from the ground up, and it uses those preferences we just talked about to guide the whole reconstruction.
And this brings up a really interesting question. If the brain loves harmony and efficiency so much, why do painful, difficult memories stick around so clearly? I mean, shouldn't it just smooth those over and help us forget? Well, the answer is because your brain is playing chess, not checkers. It's thinking long-term. Sure, in the short term, it wants things to be easy and harmonious, but its ultimate number one priority is your survival. So those painful memories? They're kept sharp and vivid on purpose. They're warnings. They're lessons learned the hard way to keep you safe down the road.
Now, these preferences don't just mess with your past, they also run the show every night. Dreams are basically the brain's own private film festival, where all its biases and preferences get to run wild and create these incredibly strange, beautiful, or sometimes terrifying productions.
And it gets even cooler because we can actually see the chemical signatures of these preferences at play. That desire for harmony, that can lead to those really lovely, relaxing dreams, and it's fueled by dopamine. But the survival instinct? That's what triggers nightmares, which are basically threat rehearsals, and they come with a big jolt of noradrenaline. Our entire dream world is directed by these deep-seated rules.
Okay, let's zoom out for a second. This whole filtering system isn't just happening inside your head. It actually scales up and shapes the biggest pillars of human culture, like science and art. These are our collective filters, our group attempts to make sense of everything.
So, science and art aren't opposites. You can think of them as two sides of the same coin, just pulling in different directions. Science is what we call reality anchored. It's a whole system we've built to purposefully fight against our natural preferences, using experiments and data to try and get a cleaner look at how the world actually works. Art, on the other hand, is preference anchored. It just lets those inner filters go wild, bending and twisting reality to explore meaning, beauty, and emotion.
And I think this quote just nails it. It captures their relationship perfectly. They need each other. Science is the tool we use to correct all the illusions our brains cook up. But art is what gives us back the meaning, the harmony, the stuff that makes life feel worth living, which science can sometimes strip away. So you might be thinking,
Is this whole complex filtering thing just some weird quirk of being human? Well, it turns out no. This tendency to filter reality, to have a preference, it isn't just a human thing. It's a universal rule. I mean, just look at any system that has to process information and make a choice. A centralized system like a human brain develops all these intricate internal preferences. But even a distributed system, like a swarm of bees finding a new hive or an AI network learning a task, develops preferences. The whole swarm might develop a bias for a certain kind of flower, not because one bee decided, but because it's the most efficient way for the group to act.
So here's the real takeaway. Preference isn't a bug in the system, it's a fundamental feature. It is a universal necessity for any system, whether it's biological or artificial, that has to make decisions in a complicated world. Being purely neutral, that's a luxury no decision-making system can afford. It's just too slow, too inefficient.
Which leads us to this grand conclusion. We're not living in raw, objective reality, but we're not living in a total illusion either. We're somewhere in the middle, in what you could call a constructed continuity. It's this beautiful, seamless hybrid where facts from the outside world are constantly blended with our inner preferences to create the rich, meaningful, and totally personal world each of us experiences.
And that leaves us with one last big idea to chew on. If your reality is a construct, if it's a story that's being told to you every second of every day, who's the architect? How much say do you really have in the world you see? Something to think about. Thanks for joining us.